Eric wondered why the Leafs just didn't, shove it under the rug, they sweep it under the rug that Nazem Kadri wasn't here and just make some vague reference he was late for a meeting and that's it. Like, why did they go on and on, make a big deal about it? And I said, Eric, do you think people in the media wouldn't have figured this out? Like, this team is being watched, every single speck of dust is being turned up by the media. They would have found out if the Leafs would have lied about it, they would have been even more sillier. They would have been even more silly or stupid or not stupid or stupid than the way they look, in particular the coach, because this guy looks like he's so over his head. And having said that, it looks to me now like Brendan Shanahan is giving this coach some latitude to actually lay down the law on these guys.
Well, it was really happy for me to see Brendan Shanahan, a.k.a. Claude Rains, the Invisible Man, fly in from New York and actually make a statement to Toronto media. Fancy that. But maybe too little too late. And by the way, do we really know definitively what we're talking about aside from Nazem Kadri missing the practice start time because of daylight savings time? Do we actually know what his
in this particular case, I'm going to defer this to Bill Watters, who's usually dialed in on the inside information. So, Bill, can you kind of perhaps illuminate the situation with what you know?
Well, I was talking this morning on another radio station, and I think one of three things happened. A, somebody from the board or higher said, look, we're looking like fools on this. Our public relations, anything that we say is deemed as stupid, irrational. You've got to get up there, Brendan, and say something affirmative. And that is how this whole thing evolved. Somebody then said, Brendan, if you're going to be the guy, then don't you let Nonis or the coach do the talking. You do the talking. And thirdly, and perhaps more importantly, Brendan Shanahan just said, hell, I listened to the coach mumble and fumble over Kadri. I don't want to give anybody else the chance. I got to save this and step up to the box and start telling the Toronto people what is going on. And the victim in all of this was Nazem Kadri. He did what he did. He's a young guy, 24 years of age, who has a reputation being a pretty cocky kid. We know that. Some call him a punk. But he still has been their best player through all of this adversity. And I think they picked a winner because of what he did when he suffered through the coaching of Dallas Eakins.
Okay, so
they're going back to his days with the Marlies to lay these two games on him. And sure, he was irresponsible. Sure, he didn't come to camp in shape. Somebody else did the same this past fall. His name was Phil Kessel. Nobody said a word to him.
Bill, what I don't understand is, like, okay, you've given him a one game suspension. That's fine. Why did you make it two more after you've already suspended him? Why didn't they just say it was 3 games off the top? To me, there is so much that was not said by Brendan Shanahan. It's very irregular. I think Brendan Shanahan, when he was playing for New Jersey, was at the age of 19, he got suspended for 3 games. I don't think they did it 1 game, and then now it's 2 days later, it's going to be 2 more games. What was that all about?
Well, that was all about what I just said. He was told post-hoc that the way they handled the 1 game suspension was embarrassing. And you better get up there and correct it. So now they had to find a reason for saying something. So they said, this guy has been irresponsible as long as he's been here within the organization, back to his Marley days. And I can cite from the Marley days, he came 1 year not in very good shape. He had some situations with his coach, who publicly displayed all of his peccadillos and made sure that everybody knew about them, and that he would never be a player until he had the full coaching experience of Dallas Eakins. And so all of that was the reasoning for the extra 2 games. And all of that is fine, except when have you heard the president of any hockey club, NHL, announcing a suspension of 2 additional games with such a narrow, nebulous excuse or reason? I found it very unlike Brendan. And so for that reason, I picked number 1. Somebody above him said, you get up there and you start talking, because the other guys you have chosen are making a complete ass of professional hockey. hockey in Toronto.
Now,